The timing is incredibly odd. Just 2 years ago, Under Armour launched I'm sorry, 5 years ago, Under Armour launched Curry brand, and then in 2023 they signed a long-term deal, which had the potential to be a lifetime contract. So we're 2 years into what could have been a lifetime contract, but Under Armour's undergoing major restructuring, and that included spinning off Curry brand. So Curry brand is independent. Stephen Curry and his sneaker company are now sneaker free agents. They'll be looking for a new home.
I don't even know what they look like, and I don't know if Under Armour has other basketball shoes. Did his shoes catch on?
Mixed results. So this is the latest shoe he's wearing right now, the Curry Series 7. We're still waiting on the Curry 13, which will be his final signature shoe as part of a collaboration with Under Armour.
Steph Curry just shook the whole basketball world, man. After 12 years, he cut off Under Armour, and now the Curry brand is straight up a free agent. Everybody's watching like it's a blockbuster trailer, waiting to see where he lands next. And this is wild because Steph ain't the type to jump ship for no reason. If he walked away after all that time, something serious had to go down behind the curtain. People are already whispering that he might slide back to Nike for a clean reboot and a whole new vibe for his brand. But here's the crazy part. Steph actually started at Nike, and they messed up big time when it mattered most. During a contract meeting, they reportedly had Nico Harrison saying his name wrong and even pulled up a Kevin Durant slide during his pitch like Steph wouldn't notice. That's the kind of mistake you don't walk back from. Steph went to his dad Dell after that, and Dell hit him with the realest advice ever: go where they respect your worth. So Steph dipped, and Under Armour rolled out the red carpet for him like he was royalty. For a while, it looked like the move of the decade, until the vibe changed. Because let's be honest, Nike still runs the whole sneaker universe. They got MJ, LeBron, Kobe, Giannis, KD, basically every superstar lineup you can think of. So even when Steph turned the league upside down in 2015 and beat LeBron in the finals, he somehow still didn't get finals MVP. People were even saying the losing player deserved it. That's wild. Now that his Under Armour story is officially over, Steph's got a clean runway to cook up a comeback or build a brand new legacy that no one can ignore. But let's keep it real. You don't hand trophies to the team that didn't win, no matter how good one player looks.
Another Steph Curry, or that this is just a one-off?
I think this is truly a one-off, unless he can force his son to go for his records, because he's the only one that's going to have the DNA to be able to even think about trying to capture this.
Sports don't work like that, and everyone knows it. Yet somehow, some voters actually gave LeBron James Finals MVP votes in a series he didn't win, and then they gave the award to Andre Iguodala instead of Steph. That decision still has people confused today, and Steph might be ready to flip that whole narrative with his next move. That's like giving Finals MVP to Scottie Pippen instead of Michael Jordan, or giving it to Paul Gasol instead of Kobe Bryant. It makes no sense at all. Everybody knows the Warriors aren't winning a thing without Steph running the whole show. Andre Iguodala wouldn't have even looked that sharp if every defense wasn't locked in on stopping Steph every second he touched the ball. Steph averaged 10 more points than Iguodala, but because Andre played solid defense on LeBron, the voters acted like he magically became the key to the whole championship. That logic is wild. And the funniest part? Some of those same voters also said LeBron should have won for being too good. So what are we doing here? Either Andre slowed him down or LeBron dominated. You can't push both stories at the same time. And that excuse about Steph having one bad game against Matthew Dellavedova? Come on, man. Every superstar struggles in the finals at some point. That's where you show your greatness, by bouncing back when the pressure's insane. The Cavs went up 2-1, Steph recalibrated, came back swinging, and took over like the superstar he is. He dropped 37 on Dellavedova's head, tied up the series, and then finished the mission by winning the finals while leading his squad and scoring by a huge margin. And while Steph was getting double and triple teamed, Klay Thompson was out there struggling to even hit 40% from the field. Even with all that, Steph still carried the entire Warriors offense like a one-man power generator. He was the spark, the engine, the heartbeat, everything, and somehow he still didn't get the trophy he clearly deserved? That's unbelievable. You can't tell me nothing weird happened behind the scenes for every single voter to look past Steph like he wasn't the most valuable player on the court. Something feels off. Maybe Nike wasn't out there pulling levers directly, but it sure feels like somebody didn't want that MVP in his hands no matter what. People kept saying he had one bad game as an excuse, acting like that erases everything he did, and going head-to-head with Steph, man, players knew that was a whole different type of challenge. In a 7-game series, Steph only shot under 40% one single time. That's it. And even when that happened, he still led the squad and figured things out instantly like a real floor general. Meanwhile, Kobe Bryant had multiple rough shooting nights during his finals runs, including that famous 6 for 24 game. And nobody dared question his finals MVP. But Steph, a 6'3" point guard dragging his team to their first championship in 40 years, somehow gets ignored like he wasn't the engine of the whole dynasty. Call it whatever you want, but if he had signed with Nike instead of Under Armour, it's hard not to think he would have walked away with that finals MVP without any discussion. Just look at the business side. Nike's a global monster worth nearly $100 billion, while Under Armour barely sits under $2 billion. That's a massive power gap. And if the face of the smaller brand suddenly looks better than LeBron James, Nike's crown jewel, that's a major problem for their image and sales. You really think that wouldn't shake a few rooms? And the stats don't lie. Steph averaged 26 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, nearly 2 steals, and shot 44% from the field, 39% from 3, and 89% at the line. Those are elite finals numbers. Meanwhile, LeBron had to take 13 extra shots per game just to pad his stats, and voters still lean toward him or Iguodala like the actual production didn't matter.
Head-to-head with Steph. What was that like?
It's honestly hell.
There's never been another time in NBA history where a guy led his team in basically everything, dominated in efficiency, controlled the whole series, and still didn't get the MVP trophy. That's unheard of. But when you're Steph Curry battling a whole system bigger than basketball, even greatness doesn't guarantee respect. They made him fight for credit he already earned. And after that finals MVP snub, Steph came back the next year on pure destruction mode. He was unstoppable, the unanimous MVP, the best hooper alive, and nobody had anything to argue. LeBron's run was starting to fade, and the whole league was buzzing like something shifted. Steph had climbed into Michael Jordan territory. Kevin Garnett even said it. And when KG talks hoops, people listen. Kenny Smith said it, KG said it, the whole basketball world felt it. Steph Curry was getting mentioned in the same breath as MJ, and that almost never happens. But for Nike, that was a nightmare straight out of a boardroom panic meeting. Because think about it, a superstar not signed to Nike suddenly being compared to their greatest icon, Michael Jordan. That kind of shift is dangerous for their whole brand story, and somehow Under Armour still fumbled the bag. They had the most electrifying athlete on the planet right in their hands, and their marketing was flat out weak. No creativity, no spark, nothing that matched the crazy energy Steph brought to the court. They had a superstar dropping highlights every night, and the ads looked like they were made in slow motion. So yeah, it's not shocking Steph finally walked away after years of loyalty. Even the nicest dude in the league eventually hits his limit. Sometimes being the good guy means people think they can walk all over you, and Steph finally decided he was done letting other folks control his story. Back in that legendary 2015-16 season, the Warriors were on fire, but Steph wasn't even at 100%. He hurt his knee against Houston and rushed back too fast. Anyone watching could see it. He wasn't moving the same, but he still pushed through it like a warrior. Meanwhile, LeBron was reportedly having conversations with league officials about Draymond Green getting suspended, and that suspension was unreal. It's the NBA Finals. How do you sideline a key player over something that didn't injure anyone? At worst, Draymond's action was minor, but the punishment flipped the entire series upside down. And you can't ignore the elephant in the room. With Nike being tight with the league, people were definitely questioning the favoritism. It didn't feel right.
Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God has ever created.
With Draymond out in Game 6, everything unraveled fast. Then Andrew Bogut went down, another huge loss. Suddenly, the Warriors went from unbeatable to scrambling, and the whole season flipped in real time. If Draymond had played Game 6, everything could have gone differently. The entire flow of the finals changes. Maybe Bogut never gets hurt, maybe the Warriors close the series early, maybe the whole story is rewritten. But one decision twisted the whole momentum, and next thing you know, the Warriors lost Game 7 and the dynasty dream got punched in the chest. From that moment on, Steph Curry's whole image started shifting, and not in a good way. The media suddenly flipped on him like they were waiting for a reason. Analysts started nitpicking everything Steph did, acting like every tiny mistake was some huge scandal. And all you kept seeing were voices linked to big powerhouse brands dominating the TV talk shows, shaping the story and downplaying everything Steph accomplished. One dude on national TV even said he'd rather have Andre Iguodala take the last shot over Steph with the fate of the universe on the line, that take lives in infamy. These people cover hoops for a living, and some of them didn't even put Steph in their top 10 point guards list. That's wild disrespect. And it didn't stop there. The refs started hitting the Warriors with some of the strangest calls fans had ever seen. Missed fouls on Steph, phantom fouls against Golden State, the type of stuff that makes fans throw their remotes. Anyone watching closely could see a pattern forming, and it wasn't pretty. Nobody's saying there's some official proof, but when you remember how tight certain brands are with the league, it gets hard not to wonder if a little behind-the-scenes influence was pushing things around. It felt like every force in the world was trying to keep Steph from getting the shine he earned. But even with all that hate, Steph still changed basketball forever. The man has 4,108 career threes in barely over 1,000 games. Almost 1,000 more than the next guy, James Harden. Legends like Ray Allen and Reggie Miller are way behind, and Steph passed them like it was nothing. But here's what people keep missing. Steph's not just a shooter. He's a full package player. He's got nasty handles, nonstop movement, elite IQ, and crazy vision. He screens, he rebounds, he runs the tempo. Nobody his size has ever controlled a game like this. Pound for pound, Steph Curry might be the most complete player the game has ever seen.
The ball is not the problem with Steph Curry. He's the fucking problem. Steph is most dangerous when he doesn't have the ball, which is not, it's not many guys all time in our league that's most dangerous without the ball.
A one-trick pony doesn't win 4 championships as the best player on every single one of those teams. A one-trick pony doesn't get mentioned as a top 10 all-time player and even slide into top 5 convos. But somehow that's still the label people try to stick on Steph, like they're desperate to shrink his greatness. It's wild how the media keeps twisting narratives, shaping stories, and chipping away at his legacy like it's a full-time job. And here's where things get real interesting. Those major brands aren't just tied to the NBA. They've also got deep connections with huge media companies like ESPN. When those relationships blend together, the narrative can shift fast, and Steph was right in the middle of that storm. Think about this for a second. If a giant brand helps fund a major sports network, and that giant brand wants certain stories pushed, why wouldn't those storylines shape how fans view players? That's just common sense. Now imagine if Steph Curry had always been a Nike athlete. You think the media would have ever dragged him the way they did? No chance. They would have boosted him every day just like they do with LeBron or Jordan. Because if both LeBron and Steph were under the same brand, it wouldn't hurt the company no matter who came out on top. Either way, Nike wins. But Steph rolled with Under Armour, and that's when everything started shifting. A smaller brand couldn't shield him from the machine. They didn't promote him right, they didn't defend his image, and that silence let the media twist his story however they wanted. If Steph had been with Nike back then, he probably walks away with that first Finals MVP. Easy call. And he'd likely get a much cleaner whistle from the refs, too. The stuff he gets hit with isn't random. It feels targeted. Other non-Nike players exist, sure, but they're not on Steph's level. They're not seen as threats to the biggest faces in the league, so they don't get the same treatment. Steph Curry is the only modern player who's really rivaled LeBron and earned comparisons to Michael Jordan, and yet people still try to shrink him down to just a shooter. Too small, not strong enough, all that nonsense. Anyone who actually understands hoops knows that's straight up false. Steph's impact, his skill, his legacy, they're right there with the absolute greats. There's a reason Steph is in all-time top 10 talks while Kevin Durant isn't, even though KD grabbed 2 Finals MVPs during their run. Steph's influence goes deeper than stats or trophies. He changed the entire sport. And honestly, it's hard not to think history would have looked completely different if Steph had been with Nike from the start. Maybe he's sitting on 5 rings right now. Maybe the Warriors never lose that 2016 Finals if he had the full weight of that backing behind him. Sure, it's a theory, but it makes a whole lot of sense once you start connecting the dots. So now the real question pops up. Where does Steph go next? Is he about to link up with another big-time brand? Or is it finally time for the Nike reunion fans have been whispering about? If that reunion ever happens, watch how fast the media switches up. The same folks who used to call him just a shooter will suddenly start talking like he's one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball. That's how influence works. When money and power move, the narrative moves right along with it. If Steph and Nike finally join forces, his whole legacy could get rewritten overnight. The Curry brand could explode into something massive even after he retires, and people might finally start seeing him for what he really is, a complete player, not just the best shooter alive. Calling him the greatest shooter ever sounds like a compliment, but it actually undersells everything he's done. That label boxed him in for years, and it's way past time for that story to change. Once people realize how controlled the old narrative was, they're gonna view Steph differently. Not just as the guy who hits crazy threes, but as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, period. Steph never asked for some behind-the-scenes battle with a giant brand, but his greatness forced that whole situation into existence. Neither side expected it, but maybe, just maybe, it isn't too late for them to team up and flip the whole storyline together. Steph's journey with Nike, Under Armour, and the media feels like watching history happen right in front of us. So what do you think? Would the narrative be completely different today if Steph had stayed with Nike? Or is he better off carving his own lane and building something that's fully his? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear it all. And hey, if you're rocking with this deep dive, make sure you like the vid and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next story. We've got more heat on the way.